class. My name is Mr. Mitchell, and I'm the 12th grade government teacher. Who knows what an election is? Yes.
An election is a process that you will have to gather votes from statewide, and then the final decision will be made.
Okay, pretty spot on. An election is a formal process of electing official members to a political body. I'll be discussing Standard 10 today, which will be evaluating the roles of political parties in our American government. For the first part, you see I have an American Republic, which is basically what our government is. A republic is a state in which the supreme power rests in the body of the citizens, entitled to vote, and is exercised by representatives chosen directly or indirectly by them. This, where we say entitled to vote, is basically what elections are. Any body of persons viewed as a commonwealth, a state in which the head of government is not a monarch or other hereditary head of state, which means we don't have kings and queens in person. A person is not born in the power. Going on to the standard, we have two main political parties in our American government today. I have two of those right here. I also have the Federalists, which is the predominant political party in the beginning of our country. The Democrats. Democrats believe that we're greater together than we are on our own. This country succeeds when everyone gets a fair shot, everyone does their fair share, and everyone plays by the same rules. Our party, led by President Obama, is focused on building an economy that lifts up all Americans, not just those at the top. The Republican Party is fighting for a freer and stronger America where everyone has the opportunity to achieve the American dream. The Federalist Party was the first American political party from the early 1790s to 1816. The era of the first party system with remnants lasting to 820s, the Federalists controlled the federal government until 1801. Their main president was John Adams. Most of those guys who were in the Federalist Party believed in strong centralized government, and they were actually, some people get it confused that they were loyal to Britain, but they really weren't. They just believed that America needed a strong national government. Democracy is a system of government in which power is vested in the people who rule either directly through freely elected representatives or through freely elected representatives. This is basically going into more detail what our election process is. We have democracy, which means we get to pick who represents us. We pick who represents us because they have our same values and beliefs, and we believe that they are the right ones to get those beliefs and values heard. Examples of these people are, for one, you have Barack Obama, who's the president, our current president, and he is a Democrat. He is the 44th president and the first African American to hold the office. Born in Honolulu, Hawaii, Obama is a graduate of Columbia University and Harvard Law School. Then we have President George Bush. George Walker Bush, born in July 6, 1946, is an American politician and businessman who served as the 43rd President of the United States from 2001 to 2009. He is the 46th Governor of Texas, the eldest son of Barbara and George W. Bush, H.W. Bush. His father was also a president. He was born in New Haven, Connecticut after graduating from Yale University in 1968 and Harvard Business School in 1975. Bush worked in civil businesses. Civil businesses classes is nothing but basically becoming a mayor, working in the local political level. We have John Adams. John Adams, born October 30th, 1735, was our second president. Having earlier served as the first vice president of the United States under George Washington, he's an American founding father. Adams was a statesman, diplomat, and a leading advocate of American independence from Great Britain. We have, to show the basically the principles of our democracy, I have given you a little excerpt on the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence is the usual name of a statement adopted by the Continental Congress on July 4th, 1776, which announced that the 13th American colonies, then at war with Great Britain, regarded themselves as 13 newly independent sovereign states and no longer a part of the British Empire. Instead, they formed a new nation, the United States of America. That was the end of my presentation. I will now be turning it over to Ms. Ford, who will be coming up and presenting the English part of the lesson.
Good morning, class. My name is Ms. Ford, and I am an English teacher, 12th grade, and I'm here to discuss the English portion of elections. Today, we will be covering the Standard 11, determine two or more essential ideas of a text, and analyze their development over the course of the text, including how they interact and build on one another to provide a complex analysis, and also to provide an objective summary of the text. Again, I will ask the same question that Mr. Mitchell asked. Does anyone have an idea what an election is?
No clue, Ms. Ford.
All right, well, an election is an election is a formal and organized process of electing or being elected, especially of members of a political party. All right, today we will be looking at a digital story I created that's on the poem titled Out Out by Robert Frost. But before I play the video, I would like to pass out the poem. And I would like for you all to pay very close attention to the video and annotate the poem as we go through. And if you all have any questions, feel free to ask me after.
I will be covering Standard 11 in the English composition section. This standard states determine two or more essential ideas of a text and analyze their development over the course of the text, including how they interact and build on one another to provide a complex analysis and also to provide an objective summary of the text.
Have you ever found yourself trying to write an analysis paper but had no idea to dissect the given information? Well, here's an example.
Well, first you have to know what an analysis is. An analysis is a deeper examination of the evidence or structure of simply as a basis for discussion or interpretation. Let's begin by reading the poem, Out Out by Robert Frost. The buzz saw snort and rattled in the yard, and made dusty drops stove red sticks of wood. Sweet scented stuff when the breeze drew across it, and from there those that lifted eyes could count 5 mountain ranges one behind the other under the sunset bars of mud. And the saw snorted around, as if it had a lot or had to bear a load. And nothing happened day was all but done. Call it a day, I wish they might have said, to please the boy by giving him the half hour that boy counts so much when saved from work. His sister stood beside him in her apron to tell him supper. At the word, the song, as if proved Saul knew what supper meant. Leaped out the boy's hand, or it seemed to leap. He must have given the hand, however it was. Neither refused the leap, but the hand. The boy's first outcry was a rueful laugh as he swung towards them holding up the hand, half in appeal, but half as to keep. the life was spilling. Then the boy saw all, since he was old enough to know, big boy doing a man's work. Throw a child at heart. He saw all spoiled. Don't let him cut my hand off. The doctor, when he comes, don't let him, sister. So, but the hand was already gone. The doctor put him in the dark of ether. He let him puff his lips out with his breath. And then, the watcher at his pulse took flight. No one believed. They listened at his heart. Little, less, nothing. And then that ended. No more to build on there. And they, since they were not the one dead, turned to their affairs.
The next part that will come up is me annotating the poem, and I would like for you all to pay very close attention and annotate the poem as I do on the video.
Well, here, Frost uses the method of personification to a great effect in this poem. The first line of the poem introduces the main character, which is the song. Now ask yourself, how do you know this? This is when you go get evidence from the context. The buzz saw is described as a knowledgeable being, aggressively snarling and rattling as it does its work. You can use lines 1 and 7 highlighted in pink as a support for your evidence. Also, the method of refrain is being used. Refrain is the repeated lines in poetry that signifies the theme of the poem. As stated earlier, we said that the song seems aggressive from the first line of the poem. How can we support this assumption? All right. Well, let's take a look at lines 10 through 18. Call it a day. I wish they might have said, to please the boy by giving him the half hour that the boy counts so much when he's back from work. This explains how the young boy hasn't had his break yet. It then goes on to say, his sister stood beside him in her apron to tell him supper. At the word, the song, as if the king saw who what supper meant, leaped out of the boy's hand, or seemed to leap. This can be used as a support to the assumption that the song was aggressive. And it also exposes the song for having a mind of its own by leaping or seem to leap in line 15 out of the boy's hand. Let's take a moment and look from analyzing the poem.
All right, as you see, we just annotated the poem together. Does anyone have any questions? Everyone has a clear understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, maybe you're wondering why I showed you this poem and how is it related to elections. Well, the main theme of the poem is that the boy's hand is cut off. His life is cut short due to, well, because of the South. And we can relate that to elections by how people's campaigns are cut off due to propaganda, scandals, and misled information of a person. All right, this poem took place in New England after the World War I era, the early 1900s. The boy was the young boy was doing a man's work simply because it was real hard to find jobs after the World War I. So, like everyone was in jobs such as textiles, sawmills, factories, hard labor. So, now I will pass out a paper explaining the election process. And with this paper, I would like for you all to read the information and relate it to the poem. And there's a paper due Friday on how you can integrate the Out poem by Robert Frost and how elections are cut off due to scandals. And that's pretty much the end of my presentation.